What's up, everybody, and welcome to a Wednesday edition of Morning Cup of Hockey presented by Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. That's Colby Cohen. I'm Johnny Lazarus, and we got a lot to get into today. We also have Elliot Friedman joining us probably in about 15 or 20 minutes. We can get into different topics, different contracts, different free agents or upcoming free agents and what their plans are with Elliot shortly. So get your questions in the chat for Elliot. We'll probably look and scroll through the chat for a bit to maybe get some topics for Mr. Friedman this morning. A lot happened last night, Colby. The Minnesota Nashville finish was crazy. The Leo Carlsson hit was possibly misjudged. The Rangers shut out again at home. I don't even know where to begin. Where do you want to start this morning?
Well, I mean, I do think the chat always appreciates.
Shut up, dude. I just saw what you wrote in the chat. I hate you so much.
What did I write in the chat? At least say it.
John thinks Leo Carlsson should get 5 games.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to fire up New York Marine in the chat because I know I know he'll have something to say about that. I mean, listen, there's two different ways we can start the show, and I think what we should do today, we should quickly poll the chat, Vic, if they want to get into the Minnesota Wild, overtime fiasco, we'll call it, or excuse me, end of game fiasco, I should say, or the Leo Carlsson hit. And I think we should see where the chat really would like us to go first. I
saw Emily Marine mention the Carlsson hit off the bat, but
yeah, I understand, but there is more than just New York Marine, as much as we do appreciate his piss and vinegar that he brings to the chat every day. So I do think that personally, I'd rather talk about the Leo Carlsson hit, but
I'd rather talk about the Wild.
Yeah, and it looks like the chat would rather talk about the Wild too, although I'm looking at it now as it's getting pretty close to 50-50. All right, we've already got 25 votes. I think it's already starting to lean towards, I don't know.
It's 52-48 right? It's 50-50 right now, 28 votes.
Play out a little bit. And for those of you who are audio only, we have this function here where we have a live poll going, and Johnny and I are able to watch it in real time as the votes pour in. And now the Leo Carlsson event is moving its way up the depth chart here at almost 60%. So, all right, let's talk about Leo Carlsson and that hit. And I'm just going to say this. Go ahead, Johnny.
Can I do an ad read before we do?
You can always do an ad read, pal. Ad reads pay the bills, bud.
Okay, so quick word from our sponsor, Parasso, the most complete choice for shaving and beard care, made in Italy since 1948. Parasso has been a staple of Italian culture and barbershops globally for 4 generations. So get 15% off at Parasso-USA.com with our promo code Hockey15. In all caps, Hockey15. Colby, the floor is yours.
Leo Carlsson. Here's what I will say to you all. And I know if you've been listening to this show, you have heard me give you this wise advice before when looking at the special game of hockey that we all love. Don't watch it in slow motion and make a determination about what you think. Because I got to tell you, and maybe this is something that we could reach out to Dave Jackson about, or maybe I could, maybe once you start talking at some point, I could text Brian Murphy about it. He's a friend of mine who is a longtime National Hockey League ref, Brian Murphy, but he's the head official for Hockey East. He's the lead. I forget the exact title that he has, but he's like the ref executive in Hockey East. So I guess J-Rock, my question is how does a referee judge an accidental play? Because to me, this did not look slightly malicious or malicious. I just made up a word, which I do.
Colby, let's play the hit though first, because there are people who haven't seen it.
Well, I would have got to that point, Johnny, but
you're taking forever, man.
Kind of finish my point, but I don't think that this was like an unfortunate hockey play. I honestly, and it's horrible because listen, Evan Rodriguez leaves the game and he doesn't come back. So I do see a comment in the chat that's geared towards Evan Rodriguez, which I don't agree with, Mr. Howell 7838 or whatever that is, who doesn't agree with the fact that Rodriguez was down on the ice. I mean, he did leave the game, but I see a play there where Carlsson is literally trying to catch a pass on his backhand, okay? And it's just an unfortunate collision. And I just don't see enough to raise that to a 5-minute major. It looks more like an unfortunate collision than a headshot.
Yeah.
And I know you, Johnny, are probably ready to put him in jail for at least 3 to 6
No,
years.
I couldn't agree more. And I think I'm actually, one second, I actually disagree with Super Wing. Super Wing in the chat said Carlson just braces himself. I don't think he braced himself at all. I think he adjusted his body to try to pick the puck up, and he missed the puck, and his shoulder just went through Rodriguez's head. Like that's really all that happened.
The puck buzzes through the area right before the hit happens. Like,
yeah.
I watch him. He tried to readjust his arms. He kind of brought them in, and I'm giving my pathetic and best demonstration of that right now for those of you who are just downloading this show and listening in podcast form. But it really does look like it's so fast. It's through the middle. You're trying to direct your arms in order to get your hands in to catch a puck. And then Rodriguez is coming through. Obviously, they don't see each other, and he just takes the worst of it. Honestly, I'm surprised that with the fact that you can now call it a 5 and then review a 5, I am kind of surprised that this stayed as a 5-minute major. I am. And
he got kicked out of the game, right?
Yeah, removed from the game. Yeah, and I can't imagine there would be any supplemental discipline for this. I would be shocked at that. But like I said, I guess I need to ask a referee directly what they and how they would judge a situation where it's kind of an accident gone wrong. Now, again, like, you can still call a penalty for an accident. Nobody means to high stick a player in the face. Like, nobody actually means to do that. I don't know, maybe Antoine Roussel did that at some point in his career. I wouldn't put anything by that scumbag, but for the most part, you're not doing these things on purpose. Like, sure, there's the odd time you're like lining a guy up, but even at that, nobody is really targeting a head anymore. It's really not. It might happen because the game is so fast, but you're not trying to make that happen. So
no.
I was surprised that he that happened. Honestly, I was surprised that was the call, and I don't expect anything further today.
No, me either. And I don't even have anything else to say. Like, I think we can kind of talk this into circles. Like, I think that's as simple and black and white as it should be. I would love to get into the Wild and Predators game now if we can.
Okay.
There's a lot of clips we also need to show, but before we show anything about that game, I do want to give a word from our sponsor, Bauer. So this segment will be a presentation of Bauer and the Bauer Pro Sharp Advantage. This at-home sharpener gives you the ability to sharpen your skates with pro-level precision at the touch of a button. Leveraged by decades of progressive innovation, this machine is designed to be as automated, precise, and convenient as possible. Easy to use, the Advantage features interactive touchscreen user profiles and has readily available how-to videos and troubleshooting tips to have you ready to sharpen like an expert. Whether you're sharpening skates in your garage, at the rink, or even on the road, the Advantage at-home sharpener ensures that your skates are always game ready. Learn more about the Bauer Pro Sharp Advantage at Bauer.com. And Colby, before we even talk about it, I think it's very important to provide context for people who may not have seen it. I think I just saw my boost comment. I think Vic should play the goal. Play the highlight, and then play what Steven Stamkos said before we kind of get into the conversation. So, Vic, can you play the goal and then play Stamkos' comments right after? And then I'd like to make my point first, and then
you're welcome Colby. To make your point first. That's always
so. Here's the goal. Minded, it's overtime, and again, like, those Wild white uniforms are so fucking sick. By the way, I think those are insanely clean. And keep in mind, Vic, can you rewind that for 1 second?
Johnny, try to talk a little bit about what's happening here, because remember, we have quite a few people now that are coming to the show on audio only. So just make sure we're giving them some love too here, and we're doing a little narration.
Fair enough. So the Minnesota Wild have like somewhat of a 3-on-2 rush in overtime. Vic, you can play it. I don't know who the trailer is, but Kaprizov makes the pass to Faber, maybe it looks like, and then finds Johansson backdoor. The net comes off, but the ref never actually makes a signal. To me, that's the most important part of this call and of the whole debate, is that the official never blew the whistle. Marcus Johansson was playing this puck until the whistle was blown and the play was dead. So that's a key point in this whole argument. The net is knocked off by a Noonan, but Johansson sticks with it. The first shot misses technically the net wide, but the puck bounces right to him because the net does come off. That said, the right post stays on its mooring. So the right post is still in place, which somewhat keeps the net, I guess, in play fairly. I don't know how you describe that, but for those of you that just watched the replay, form your opinion, but now listen to how Steven Stamkos described it after the game. Vic, if you can play the Stamkos clip.
Ended up making the call. Obviously, one of the refs who called it a goal on the ice thought that our goaltender pushed the net off on purpose and therefore denied an opportunity for them to score. But obviously, there's two sides to everything. Our side thought, obviously the net came off, but he missed the shot, and it went wide. And if the net wasn't off in the angle that it was at, the puck would have went behind the net, and therefore he wouldn't have had a second opportunity. So if we're staying true to the rule, and our interpretation of it is if the net is off and it directly affects a goal that is scored, then yeah, we have no problem with that. But the original shot didn't go in, and the puck bounced back to him because the net was off. So that's where we were a little confused.
So, I think still, without a doubt, that it should be a good goal. I'm all for that being a good goal. I think the whistle never blew. Play the puck till the whistle blows. But Stamkos' argument is pretty damn good. The fact that the puck does go wide on the initial shot and only comes back to Johansson because the net is off was as good of a rebuttal as you could find, I think. So, I woke up this morning and saw Stamkos' comment, and I was like, maybe I'm wrong.
It's all part of the same scoring play. And because the goaltender knocks the net off there, again, it says it in the rule, right? Should we read? Do you want us to reread the rule out to everybody?
Please,
I think that's important, Vic. Why don't you put the rule up on the screen, and I'm going to read. This was the explanation that we got via email from the league. I'm sure this was also all over social media, right? And it says, I'm just going to read you the actual rule. The decision was made in accordance with Rule 63.7, which states, in the event that the goalpost is displaced either deliberately or accidentally by a defending player prior to the puck crossing the goal line between the normal position of the goalposts, the referee may award the goal. In order to award a goal in this situation, the goalpost must have been displaced by the actions of the defending player. The attacking player must have an imminent scoring opportunity prior to the goalpost being displaced, and it must be determined that the puck would have entered the net between the normal position of the goalpost. When you read that rule, it is very clear to me that Steven Stamkos' argument has no water.
I disagree.
Exactly what we witnessed in this play. The net was knocked off. It was an imminent scoring chance. It was all part of the same scoring play, regardless.
Not the second one.
If it hits the netting or the net where it did, it was still hit that and was caused because the goaltender knocked the net off, and they determined that this was knocked off. But it even says in the rule that even if they don't knock it off on purpose, right, it can still count,
of course,
in this same rule. Again, I understand what you're saying. What I'm telling you is it's wrong, and Stamkos is also wrong. When you read that rule, that is exactly what happened on the ice. Exactly what happened on the ice.
But I think the imminent scoring chance is Johansson's first attempt. After the first attempt,
which that the first one and the second one are not both imminent. How can you say that?
Because the net is already, the net is being put off as Johansson.
See, Randy Wolcott in the chat knows. John,
what?
Colby is always correct.
Oh.
See, he knows.
No, but I think the refs had it right, but I think Stamkos' point
never
is
thought
also
I'd
right.
say it, but I agree with Colby. See, Bob, there's a first for everything. We talk,
let me talk,
and eventually we're going to agree with each other.
I am calling this a good goal because the official did not blow the whistle. That's why I think my stance is good goal, no issue with it. But I get exactly what Steven Stamkos is saying. The imminent scoring chance is not the rebound that Johansson gets. Can you let me talk and not be distracting?
I'm laughing at the chat. They're funny today. What do you want from me?
All right, dude. But I just don't understand how you think Okay, so if that puck initially was going wide, the imminent scoring chance was going wide. No one can deny that Johansson's first shot was on the outside of the post, right? You can't deny that.
I mean, it hits the net. Yes, it's nobody can deny that it hits into the net. The first one
How
that he
can
tries to whack.
so how can
Yeah.
you be so sure that the puck is going to bounce exactly back to him in that spot?
I can't.
For his second
who's
chance.
talking about being so sure? What I'm
To me,
saying
the
here
imminent
is,
chance is the first
in
shot.
the word, okay, Johnny, how many seconds did this play take? How many seconds would you say by the time he got the puck originally
Can we
until
see it
he
again?
puts it in the net? Maybe 1.5 seconds, maybe. Definitely less than 2 seconds. Okay. We can keep an eye on the clock.
I want to see that
Okay,
behind
so
angle too.
We're at 1:26. Johnny, it's not even a full 2 seconds. How can you say that's not imminent? Okay. I mean, it's not even a full 2 seconds. Again, I understand Stamkos is making a point, but did Stamkos read the rule book? Like, based on I'm not arguing that it's a good rule or a fair rule. I'm saying, based on the rule book, based on what we just read, there's no gray area here. This is a good goal 100% of the time.
I'm trying to come up with a way to articulate it, like, or give another example. Like, if the initial shot was going through the posts as the net was off, no argument. But because it's a second shot after the left peg had already been moved off, I think it changes things.
But based on what the rule says, it's saying that you're wrong, that it doesn't change.
What's the
things.
definition of imminent? Can we look it up?
Oh,
I'm gonna look it up.
You're really spinning your wheels in an argument, Johnny, when you start looking up the definition of imminent.
Imminent says about to happen. I guess that's.
I mean, listen, it's all part of the same sequence here. Like, this is all one.
No, but Stamkos's point is the second sequence doesn't happen if the net isn't on the angle that it's on because it was off.
What happens if the goaltender never knocked it off in the first place?
The puck goes wide.
I mean, no, not necessarily. That's not true. That's not necessarily.
It was on the outside of the post.
But again, we're looking at, like, the hypothetical of this here. If he doesn't, then the play is still in play. But he knocks the net off, okay, and the next group of events happen. He gets the puck on the back door, he dunks it, and it comes back to him, and then he puts it in the net. Again,
the point is, and King Shaman said in the chat he would not get the puck for the second shot if the net was in place. I think that's what Steven Stamkos is saying, and I agree with that. It's kind of hard to deny that, but the whole thing. Again, wait, one thing. The whole thing. It's a goal because the ref never blew the play dead. Like, I'm not denying.
Yeah, I agree with your pal Joe says he would have got the rebound regardless. Like that again, but we're both just guessing at that. We can only go by what happened and then by the rule. You said it yourself. It's a good goal based on the rule, right?
I said it's a good goal based on the officials not blowing it dead.
So so you only think it's a good goal because the officials didn't blow the whistle? That's your thought process?
I think the rule should be if the imminent shot is the initial shot, not the rebound.
I got to be honest with you. Yeah. Are you just arguing because you want to argue? Are you me today? That's what you want to do here? Like, or do you actually?
I just think Steven Stamkos just fucked with my head. That's like really. I was fully on board, 100% good goal, and Stamkos's argument was like, you know what? He's got a pretty good point.
Wait, why don't we read D. Lepresti, his comment? It says, it's very true. It's not a hypothetical. It's basic physics. Sorry to nerd out. The angle was not bouncing on the side of the net to Johansson if the net is not turned perpendicular to the goal line. Yes, that is hypothetical. Yes, it is. Because it didn't happen. Or it did happen.
What did NY Marine say?
We're going by what happened and the rule. We're not living in the expected what if goals land. You guys know how I feel about that. The rule is the rule. Like, I don't, like, it's not. New York Boost says, let him have it, Colby. He's feeling like a big boy now again that he's out of his parents' basement. There might be an element of that here. I think
There's a little bit.
his new background's probably going to look cool once he gets it all done up. But
My confidence is
there
back.
might be. Oh, there we go. We got Zach Phillips, who's producing our show this morning as well. Just sent us a tweet from Dave Jackson, and it says, if the defensive team knocks the net off intentionally or accidentally and the attacking team has an imminent scoring opportunity, the play is allowed to be completed. Correct call. So, like, again, Steven Stamkos, I get it. You're making your case for the team, for your team. But the reality here is the rule book is not in your favor here. I don't see this as a gray area. I really don't. I think, to me, this is pretty black and white, and I think that the officials got this correct. I really do. Vic, you want to? Oh, you did put up a poll. Let's see what the poll.
I'm surrendering.
65% of the chat say yes, it's a good goal. 35% say no. Okay, well, listen, you know.
I also said it should count.
I'll say what I always say. Listen, you're all entitled to my opinion. I'm totally fine with that.
So can we change topics? Because I actually do want your opinion on this.
Yeah.
Okay, so as an outsider, but
Cale Makar just being an absolute beast in the dying minutes last night?
No, I was going to save that because we don't have video for that, which sucks. But we can talk about. I think we should talk about that after Elliot. I do want to ask you as an outsider, but I do want to give a word from our sponsor, Prime, before I get into this next topic. So this segment is a presentation of Prime Monday Night Hockey. Prime Monday Night Hockey streams all national regular season games, Monday night NHL games on Prime Video in Canada, and is available to free Prime members in Canada. Stream Prime Monday Night Hockey exclusively on Prime Video and experience thrilling goals and dramatic plays from the NHL. Monday nights are hockey nights, so don't miss a moment of the action. This coming Monday, November 10th, Columbus is in Edmonton to take on McDavid, Draisaitl, and the Oilers. I mean, that Leon Draisaitl shootout move and goal last night, ridiculous. So check out the link in our description for the Prime Monday Night Hockey schedule on Prime Video, or go to primevideo.com/NHL. Also on Prime, you can check out Face Off Inside the NHL Season 2, which was unbelievable, and subscribe with a 30-day free trial to Prime Video to watch Monday Night Hockey and the new season of Face Off. So download the app or go to primevideo.com. And Colby, I just want to ask you, because I'm too deep in it, you know, to I guess like even understand what the outsider's opinion might be. If you had to point one finger at the New York Rangers problem right now, what would it be? Like, what's the first thing you go to where you think of their issues?
Well, listen, I don't think that their superstars are playing like superstars. Like, I don't think their best players are the best players every night. And when
that's a funny thing that you say too. Do you think their best players are superstars?
I mean, I think Panarin is still supposed to be a superstar, and I'm not ready to sit here and say because of a slow start of one season that like he's no longer a star player. I think I'm somebody who you know, gives the body of work a little bit more love. Here's the other thing. And I know you asked Mike Sullivan a great question yesterday, you know, and I'll give you a little bit of love. I think you've been, you know, Mike Sullivan's, he's a pretty intimidating guy. I know Mike, and I actually played golf with him one time at the BU golf outing, and you know, he's an awesome guy, but he's still intimidating. I mean, he has this sort of intimidating presence.
Yeah, he does.
So I think you're doing a great job, by the way, on those interviews, and I'm not being sarcastic.
Yeah, thank you.
But I think the power play is letting them down, and I think that goes hand in hand with the top players. Like, honestly, like I think watching Alexis Lafreniere, and again, I didn't see the Ranger game last night. I you know, I had my own game, and then I watched the late games. But you watch guys like him, and you're like, you just need so much more. And Panarin and, you know, Zibanejad, it's like he still makes $8.5 million, you know, and JT Miller and Adam Fox makes what, 9.5, right? Like, are those guys the best players on the ice every night? Like, I think
Adam Fox is.
I don't think he's had a bad year at all. Like, I think Fox has been the one guy who has seemingly been
consistent,
like, showing up to play night in and night out. And I just think that you look at the rest of the roster, like, I think Chris Drury deserves a lot of the heat here, because you're trying to play all these guys who are really no longer top six players, and you're counting on them to carry your team offensively. Like JT Miller, who, I mean, listen, I got time for JT Miller on any team that I'm building to try to win a Stanley Cup, but Johnny, not probably as a third line center. Like he's probably a third line center on a Stanley Cup team.
Well, right now too, Vinny Trocheck's been out for a while. Like I think he got hurt
I
in game
understand,
2, maybe.
but you gotta have depth, you know. And
Mhm.
to think Will Cooley is going to play in your top 6 and be successful, Lafreniere has shown he's really not a top 6 player. You know, when he gets when he turns into a spectator, it's so obvious. I think because he had that one season where he was so willing to go into the hard areas and he was so effective at it. You know, and Ariel in the chat is letting us know Miller's hurt, groin, hasn't fully recovered. Listen,
Yeah, he got hurt in training camp.
Nothing worse than a tweaked groin. I mean, it is for me, it's the worst injury that you can have as far as those types of like nagging injuries go. I dealt with it my whole life, career. I still deal with it when I want to skate. You know, and Laugh New York 13 says Cooley has looked better the last few games. Like, listen, I think he's a good player, but where does Will Cooley fit on a Stanley Cup team, Johnny?
Third line. I've been saying it forever.
Line.
Yeah.
On your third or fourth line. Like, that's how you know you'd be built really, really well. Like, imagine Will Cooley on the third line on Vegas. You know what I mean? Like, playing with, I don't know, like, I know Stone's out right now, but like Leo with like Carlson, not Leo, like William Carlson. I mean, and like Riley as like a third line with Will Cooley, like that makes sense to me. Those are different types of matchups that he probably needs. So I think a lot of it has to be pointed at Drury. I don't think they have depth. I think they're aging. I'm concerned about the long outlook of the New York Rangers. Like, Johnny, can you honestly look at this roster and say this roster is close to winning a Stanley Cup? No.
No,
right?
I said they're a first round exit. Yeah.
They have Igor Shesterkin, and that counts for more than just something. But like this team looks more like a team that needs a rebuild. And that's not a realistic comment because they're not rebuilding again. They're going to have to retool. They're going to have to do one of these aggressive retools. But, you know, they're lost. And I know you wanted to get into that comment that you kept sending me on social media about a coach not fitting a player's, you know, structure or system or whatever that was.
I'll tell you what it was.
I think you wanted to gear that towards the New York Rangers because I think a lot of people are blaming Mike Sullivan for Artemi Panarin's sort of disappearance and the way he's been on a milk carton all season. So why don't you read that? Why don't we flush that out and talk about it a little bit? And then why don't we get the chat's opinion on it?
Well, we do have Elliot here, and I don't want to keep him waiting.
Here?
So maybe he's here. So let's table this because we do have Elliot Friedman joining.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Vic texted us while you were talking there. So I do want to get to Elliot Friedman. Obviously, we don't want to keep him waiting. Yeah, he did. But before we bring on Elliot, just want to give a quick word from our sponsor, Uber Eats. Uber Eats is enabling fans to maximize their fandom all season long with exclusive game day deals on the app. From game day eats to paper plates and napkins, if you're hosting, to all the ingredients you need to make your favorite game day dip before, during, and after the game, Uber Eats is assisting every fan's hockey experience all season long. And today's Uber Eats stat of the day, which I feel like nobody is talking about, and Vic made a great point this morning in our pre-show meeting, Sam Bennett this season. 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points, -8 in 13 games played. Florida will be a hot topic of conversation this morning with Elliot. So why don't we bring Elliot on? And where are you coming from, Freege? Where are you right now?
This is the family abode.
Oh, okay, you're in the parents' basement like me.
No, I think it's probably his house, Johnny.
No, you know what? If I was at home, I would be in the basement. Yes, like I think that's fair to say. No, but this is one where my wife allows me to be in other parts of the house from time to time. From time to time.
It's great to see you. Great to have you. Again, we're so lucky to have you every other week this season. But I know you just did NHL radio, and I actually want to hand the floor to you. What was the hot topic of your hit just now that you'd maybe want to discuss with us?
You know what? We talked a little bit about Stamkos. We talked about the ruling last night in the game, in the Minnesota-Nashville game that certainly got a lot of attention. Those were probably some of the things that we discussed there, and maybe some of the teams that were in trouble. You know, I heard you guys just talking about Florida. You wake up in the wake up and look at the standings this morning. Who's in last place in the Eastern Conference? The Florida
Yeah.
Panthers. And I wouldn't have predicted that. And I still don't worry about them. I think they're going to be just fine. There's too much experience and ability there, even with all the guys they've lost. So I don't worry about them. But I would say we were talking about that Nashville, Minnesota ending last night and what we thought. What did you guys think?
Oh, we had a whole 10-minute debate on it. I said I think it should be a good goal because the ref never blew it dead, but I see Stamkos' argument, and I have a hard time not hearing him out.
Okay. What did you say, Colby?
It was called perfectly based on the rule. Like imminent, the word imminent, that's the word we circled around. I thought they got it exactly right. We read the rule out. And what do you think, Elliot?
I think at the end of the day, first of all, let me say this. If I was Nashville, I would be pissed. Like I would be really pissed. Like I get that.
Yeah.
I thought at the end of the day, if it makes people think I better not push the net off, it's a good thing. Overall, if that's going to make goalies say, or teams go to their goalies and say, don't push the net off because this is going to be the result, I'll take it. Now, the one thing though, Colby, about the rule is, and there's two different ones you can look at here. One's 25-2. I can't remember what the other one is.
67-3 is what we read.
67-3, 25-2. There's too many rules. They got to streamline this rule book. But the one thing it says there is that the player would have scored, right? And the argument that the Predators make is that he wouldn't have scored. And, Gord Stellick this morning, he had an argument only he can make because he got a hole-in-one this summer. And he said, as someone who got a hole-in-one this summer, if you were about to putt and someone moved the hole, you'd complain you missed the putt because the guy moved the hole, right? So his argument is that Johansson's probably a bit screwed up because the net is off. I don't know if I buy it, but look, I think you can see both worlds, that you'd understand why Nashville was angry, but overall you'd say, you know what? If this gets goalies to think I better be more careful with the post, it's probably a win. My rule is, if Game 7 ends on the Stanley Cup final like that, how would you feel?
Yeah,
I don't
not
think
good.
anybody likes that. Yes.
No, not good. Well, but let me just ask you then quickly, did you feel like the goaltender Noonan, did you feel like it was on purpose that he knocked that net off? I'm curious your take on that, because that's actually not something either of us touched on when we yelled at each other for the first 10 minutes of the show about this.
I remember having a conversation with a goalie once who always told me, if you bring this up in conversation, you remain nameless. And he was a guy, and I remain nameless. I said, no problem. And he said to me with a little smile and a wink, we know what we're doing. So I thought, okay.
Even better then. That makes me feel even better then, because I wasn't convinced that was even on purpose. But when we read the rule, and we didn't read the 25 rule you're talking about, we did 67 point whatever. It spelled it out pretty clearly to me. And that's why I felt like they got it right. Dave Jackson tweeted that they got it right. I told Johnny I was going to reach out to Brian Murphy and get his opinion on it. He's always a guy that I like to lean on for that type of stuff, because those guys, they've made those calls. Our job is to Monday morning quarterback everything they do, and their job is to call it in real time, which, I mean, that's a tough sledding, but it is something obviously we're all going to talk about today.
I generally feel that goals are good. You better have a good reason for taking down goals. Again, though, if I was the Predators, I would be supremely pissed off at that.
Yeah. Stamkos made a good rebuttal. Colby, can I take the next topic?
Well, I was just going to ask you, Elliot, because Steven Stamkos' name has just really been all over the place in the last couple of days. And I feel like as a Canadian kid, he's been in your backyard for a long time. You've probably been covering him since he's 15 or 16 years old, playing Major Junior. What feel do you get for that whole situation? Because I know we wanted to ask you this last week or 2 weeks ago. We didn't get to, but it's a big name with a lot of wins under his belt, a lot of playoff championship experience. Is there a situation where someone's willing to Seth Jones his contract and eat maybe $2 million and make it a little more digestible? What's your gut on that one, Elliot?
It's interesting, Colby. You're like the third person this week who's brought up the name Seth Jones with Steven Stamkos to me, and so they're generally, it shows that Seth Jones has sort of become the patron saint of maybe it doesn't work here, but it can go work somewhere else. Guys, when you get a chance, you got to watch like the last 10 minutes of that game over Stamkos' shifts because, I went back. Someone said to me, "You've got to check this out." And I went back and I watched, and before he scores the tying goal there, which was a huge moment for him and them, he has a great setup from Marchessault and just misses it, right? And there was another time when they had the net empty where they win a draw and he can't control the puck and it goes out, and you're just looking at this and you're going, "Oh man, this just isn't working for this guy." And then he bombs home the winner or the tying goal, which sends them into overtime.
He wired that shot.
And he wired that. Like all of his frustration got poured into that shot. And you're like, what a great result for him and them, and how important was that? I think everybody here, Colby, knows what's going on and what the situation is. And I think that what it is that if it's something that makes sense, it's going to get considered. Like the number one thing is, like if you take a look at Stamkos, and this is one thing I've been mentioning for the last few days, if you take a look at his shot totals, the last 3 years that he was in Tampa, he had a pretty consistent shot number. And I can't remember off the top of my head if it was 280 or 240 or whatever it was. It was consistent. The last 3 years, he hit that total all 3 seasons. And last year in Nashville, it was 170. And this year, it could potentially even be less than that. And what that says to me is, look, the player always has to take responsibility. If it doesn't work, you always have to be saying, what can I do better, or how is this on me? But they don't have, like the Kucherov, not too many people do, but they don't have anyone even in his mold who can get Stamkos the puck. And so I think that if there was a situation that revealed itself where Stamkos could potentially go somewhere where they have a facilitator that could help him, I think everybody would consider it. But that has to materialize first.
Mm-hmm. I think he's a name, obviously, people, I mean, maybe like Florida right now, who knows, right? Like, would that be crazy, though, with Tampa and that whole thing? Like, I'm not trying to ask you if Stamkos is going to go to the Panthers, but you got to think Florida is going to be aggressive at some point here with where they are in the standings.
Well, the thing, I always kind of wondered if there was, I remember a few years ago when when there were thoughts that he might not be in Tampa forever. Florida was one of the names that came up, and like people were kind of wondering, would the Panthers do it to stick the finger in the eye of the Lightning or something like that? I'll say this too about Stamkos is he signed for another 2 years at 8, and we'll see if he gets traded, would Nashville be willing to do anything with that? But 8 isn't, if you believe a guy can work, 8 is no longer a terrifying number, is it? Like look at where the cap is going. So if you believe this can work, I don't see why a team that had room, I think it would come down to, like, I remember Josh Georges, he wouldn't accept a trade from Montreal to Toronto. He's like, I played in Montreal. I cannot.
I love that, by the way. I love that.
So, I mean, to me, the bigger question would be not only how does Florida feel about it, but how does Stamkos feel about it? And I just got to think right now that guys like to play in Florida and they win. I mean, if Florida was the team, I would love to hear Stamkos' answer.
Well, I actually, and this is not necessarily about Stamkos, but it leads me perfectly into my next question for you. And Elliot, this is something that Vic and I have talked about a lot. Like, I feel like just before our shows in the mornings, obviously upcoming UFAs are continuing to like re-sign with their teams. And, guys are now no longer going to make it to the open market from what it looks like, but all these teams still have a ton of cap space and money to spend, but nobody to spend it on. 2 teams specifically that I want to talk about are probably the 2 most exciting teams right now in the NHL, and that's the Montreal Canadiens and the Anaheim Ducks, who have plenty of money. Anaheim has $12 million in cap space, and Montreal has about $5.5 million in cap space. Like, do you think either one of those teams looks at a guy like Stamkos, looks at an older guy, because those teams are still like coming out of their rebuilds, right? They've now locked in young players for a long term, for many years to come, but are pushing that limit of like, okay, we're probably a playoff team. Like, why not go out and get somebody? So I'm curious what you make of those 2 teams, the money they have open, and what their mentality or attack might be.
I think they're both going to be aggressive. Montreal, to me, is going to try to get their hands at some point on the best center they can find. Who is the best center available to them? And the challenge with that, John, is that everybody's looking for centers. But the thing is, they have an aggressive front office. They have the cap room, as you mentioned. They're an exciting team. They're in a great building to play in. When that building is rocking, it's the best place to play in the league. And the other thing, too, is they have young pieces that they can move, right? They have capital. So I think the Canadians, at some point in time this year, they will go out and they will get the best center that they can find. That's number one. Number two is on Anaheim. Look at all the swings that Pat Verbeek has taken over the last few years. He swung at Marchessault, didn't get him. He swung at Stamkos, didn't get him. He's taken swings. So, yes. Now, I'll say this. I was looking over their roster last night as I was watching their game. Right now, Kreider's got 7 goals. So you're okay with that fit. Long term, if you were going to tell me they were going to bring in one more big-time left winger, I mean, I could see it. Like Pat Verbeek is not afraid. He has tried. Just because it hasn't worked so far doesn't mean it won't work again. The thing is, though, he's got some big extensions coming. Carlson, that's going to be a big number. Gauthier, scorers get paid. That's going to be a big number. So he has to protect from within as much as anything else. But if you tell me, I think Pat Verbeek takes a swing at some point. Absolutely. Although now his biggest stars might be internal.
I wonder how Kadri would look in that Montreal Canadian uniform playing on that second line.
Well, I think, Colby, there's no question that's the name that is being discussed. For a while it was Sid. That would Sid go to Montreal? Can the Montreal you might not believe this looking at me right here, but I do work out, and the number one question all the Habs fans ask me at my gym is, are we going to get Crosby? And it's starting to shift right now to, are we going to get Kadri? Because, Pittsburgh's going well, so it kind of knocks all that talk down. But I definitely think if it comes to a point where he's on the market, Montreal would be very high on that list. Montreal would be very interested, and Montreal would have what Calgary would want. So we'll see when the time comes.
Elliot, we're talking a little bit about cap space right now and who can afford what, and I think this is something you'd probably have a really good feel for. And I hope it's something nobody's asked you, at least this week. But I'm doing a little bit of math here. There's about $3 billion in payroll in the National Hockey League, or at least in available payroll in the National Hockey League.
Yeah.
And there's over $160 million right now in cap space in the National Hockey League. And, we've seen all the stars take haircuts as of late. All of them have seemingly left a little bit of money on the table. The Lane Hudson deal, again, even talking to him, it was like, yeah, I just want to play and win. And if I have to leave a little bit, we know what McDavid did. But I get this argument back of like, well, it'll just go to the next guy. But that's not the truth right now, because there's so much available cap space in the National Hockey League. Think of the guys who don't even play anymore. I bet you there's $30 million in dead contracts. So there's so much money in this NHL ecosystem that is not being paid to the players. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, well, is this a true revenue 50-50 split? If the owner, I don't know. I guess I'm bothered by this whole thing of these teams not spending. And I'm wondering, is this something that Gary Bettman would ever say to the owners at a Board of Governors meeting, like push teams to spend more money, or is he like, no, these guys hire me. I'm keeping my hands clean of that conversation?
Colby, I think it's a great question. By the way, when I got into sports media, I was told there would be no math, so I'm glad that you're doing it for me, so I don't Colby, I think that's a great question. I really do think that's a great question. There's a lot of different ways that we're going to go from here. So number one, some guys have taken haircuts. There's no question. McDavid absolutely did. But then you look at a guy like Kaprizov, who took the biggest number in the history of hockey, And what did he do? He moved the line for some of the other top players. So there are some players who will go all out, and there are some others, like you said, McDavid, who won't. And sometimes that is determined on the owns cap situation of your team. So it was about this time a year ago, Colby, that I reported that the cap was going to go up, and it was going to go up big. And at the time, Bettman denied it. And I think the reason that he denied it was because he hadn't had time to brief the owners yet, the teams yet. And ultimately, it turned out to be true. And I remember a lot of the things the teams told me was there are some teams who will be able to do that, but there are other teams who either won't be able to go there or will really have to make some hard choices to go there. And I think that's what you're seeing. I do think there are some teams out there that look at these numbers and say, those either won't work for us or we'll go for it because we have a chance to win, but it's going to make life really harder for us. Like this league is still a gate-driven league, even though the media deals are getting bigger than ever. They're selling more revenue than ever. It's still, if you take a look at the breakdowns of revenue compared to other leagues, the NHL depends as much on gate as anyone. So if your team is struggling or you're in a market where you don't feel you can charge as much for your tickets, you have more challenges. And I do think, Colby, there are teams out there that look at like 105 next year or 104 next year and 113 the year after, and they're like, oh my God, that is going to be tough for us, really tough for us. And don't forget, that's all in US dollars. Now, I don't worry about that 50-50 because this year they're not taking any escrow, Colby. So that says to me that this is not going to be an issue. The players are getting their 50%. But I do think that on an individual team case, there are some teams who look at this and say, boy, it's going to be hard to make those numbers work for us. But the other thing I'll say too about that, Colby, is, you saw some of these numbers, especially after Kaprizov signed. There were teams who were like, we're not doing this, we're not doing this, we're not doing this. Look at Kyle Connor. Winnipeg never gave a deal like that before. They did it. You look at Thomas Harley. I don't think they envisioned a day a year ago where they were going to be paying him almost 10.6. He's there now. I don't think, a year ago, we look what happened with Colorado. I also don't think a year ago people thought that Martin Necas would get 11.5. He's there now. Like, look at the teams have realized you may not be able to think that you're going to have to do this to keep good players. You're going to have to do this.
Colby, did you have a follow-up?
Nope. Go ahead, Johnny.
Okay. Yeah, no, I wanted to take a question.
Colby,
yeah.
Gary Bettman is the boss. If he's watching this, he's going to say, I like the fact that Colby says I listen to the owners. He may like that publicly, but we know who the boss is.
Well, next time I see him walking around Margate, I'm going to ask him, Elliot, because he doesn't live too far away from us. So I'm going to ask him that next time I see it. All right. Next time I see him.
Oh, I didn't know that he would allow you in his gated community. I'm sorry, Mr. Cohen.
There's no gate. It's just a whole big group of Italians and a whole big group of tribesmen hanging out on an island and going to dinner at Stephen Cookies on Friday and Saturday, Elliot. We'll have you down.
I like
sometime.
that. That sounds great. That sounds like a good life.
And Jalen Brunson. Just had to throw that in there. But we have a question from the chat, Elliot, and obviously we try to scan the chat like as you're talking here because we do want to get at least some of our listeners' voices heard. But 91 Shano wants to ask if there's any update on Jason Robertson now that Dallas has locked in Thomas Harley at that pretty expensive dollar.
So, Shano, I looked into this last week. The last time I looked into it was last weekend, and I was told there was nothing close. Jim Nill was on with one of my buddies, Bob Stauffer, the other day, and he said it's our goal to sign him. And I take Jim Nill at his word. He's pretty honest. I'll say this. People have said when Harley signed, they were like, oh, Robertson's done. I don't believe that. I don't think it's an A or B. I don't think it's an either or. I think if you're a fan of the Dallas Stars, you know that they do what they want to do. If they want to get something done, they'll get it done. I think that it's going to be the challenge is going to be the sweet spot, the number. I'm sure they want him to come in under Rantanen, and Robertson might want to have a big year and see if that puts him over top. But also, don't forget, he's not a free agent this year. He's got one more year. So I think there's time to sort this out. The other thing I can tell you is the Stars absolutely put his name out there last year just to see, and they didn't like anything they got back. All of the offers, they said, nope, Robertson's a better situation for us than all of these offers. So I think that I'll take real at his word that they want to sign him. But last I checked last weekend nothing was close.
Elliot, I've only got one more for you. And again, we're always so appreciative of your time. And I have to be selfish in my own personal matters when you come on here because we get to talk to you just once every 2 weeks. So I feel
like I know you from all the social media, though, lads. I know everything you're thinking. I'm watching your interrogation of K'Andre Miller yesterday.
That wasn't an interrogation.
He tried to. He was trying to get him to cry, Elliot. He tried to get him to cry.
I always call it that. Like he's sitting there in his stall, and you're bombarding him. Like it was good stuff.
Mm-hmm. I do like K'Andre, by the way. It was great to catch up with a lot of the Canes guys. A lot of those guys are great. But
I never,
you know what?
Hey, I never because I've met K'Andre a couple of times, and he's such a nice guy.
Yeah.
When Sean Avery beats him up on social media and he singles him out, I have to close my eyes and move to the next thing. I don't like when he does that whatsoever. I mean, listen, you're fair game when you play in the NHL. Like, you're going to take criticism, but because K'Andre is such a nice human being, when I see Avery doing it, I'm just like, oh no, I can't watch it, Johnny. It's like a car crash. Sorry, go ahead, man.
No,
that's just life in the big city, as you said, Colby. Not everyone's going to like you, and some people are going to be hard on you. You just have to toughen your skin.
Oh, don't
I'm gonna play a game here, though. I'm gonna take this opportunity, Elliot. If you're scanning my social media, what do you think I'm gonna ask you right now?
I assumed it was going to be Rangers.
That's correct, yes. But what I'm gonna ask is not Panarin focused, but it seems like a lot of fans are starting to use the R word, right? And I think you know the R word I'm referring to, the rebuild. What do you think is the direction the New York Rangers head in? Because it seems like they're kind of stuck right now with all the contracts that have been handed out. I don't see a rebuild happening, and I'm curious what you would think.
Oh, we lost your audio, I think, Elliot. Yep.
What horrible timing. Ask about the Rangers when we get muted.
This is how you know things are really bad on Broadway right now. Because we have the voice who comes to our show every 2 weeks. And the minute you ask him about the Rangers, his computer completely malfunctions.
I also guess I shouldn't have said R word. That could have been a little misleading.
I'm back.
But he's back. Okay.
I wasn't sure where you were going with that either, Johnny. I'll be honest.
First of all, Johnny, first of all, you got to know who the owner is. Do you think he's taking a rebuild right now?
No chance. And that's why I tell fans it's not happening. Yeah.
It's not happening. It's not happening. There's no rebuild coming. Look, obviously Trocheck is hugely important to that team. The weird thing about it is, sometimes people ask me, like someone was asking me the other day, the Kings last year, they had their best home record in history, and they couldn't win a game until last night. They beat the Jets, and they say, why do you think that is? And I'm like, I have no idea. Like, I don't understand how that changes like from year to year. Then I'm watching the Rangers, and what do? They grind out wins last week. They beat Vancouver in a really emotional game for Miller. They look like they're dead in that game against the Oilers, and they come back and win it. They find a way against Seattle too, and then they come home and do that. I just think that right now, like, it's in their heads, and I don't always think that that's an acceptable answer. Like, I think if you're having a bad day mentally or a bad fit mentally, do something, change your schedule, change your routine, do something to get yourself out of that. Like, I'm not a person who believes you can allow your mental outlook to consistently beat you from time to time. But I don't know what it is there, but that team I saw last night was not like the team I saw on the road. Like, how long did they go? Like, they like, especially when you look at the defense that Carolina was dressing last night, you got to pressure those guys, force them into mistakes. And I didn't see a lot of that. And, the Panarin thing to me is really interesting because he just, like we talked about Stamkos earlier. Stamkos to me looks like, even though it's not working for him, he's trying to go all out. Like, he's trying. I'm not saying that Panarin's not trying, because I've been told before, if you're going to go down that road, you better be able to say that 100%. But it's hard not to look at him and say he's affected by the fact that he isn't signed next year. Like, do you guys think I'm nuts thinking like that? Like, I just watch him and he does not have the impact on games that he normally does. And I kind of wonder, because I don't think that's unusual. I think that if you're unsure about your future, it can affect you.
He's on the longest pointless streak of his career. No points in the last 6 games. That's the longest of his career.
But you know what? Like, it's not only that is a beautiful dog, by the way. It's not only that he's pointless. Like, it's gonna happen, John. But he doesn't. There's long parts of the games where you really don't notice him, and that's what is surprising to me.
Passenger. He looks like a spectator, Elliot. I think that's 100% true. And when you're thinking too much, the game is too fast to think. And that's what even coaches are always talking about, the difference between, read and reacting. I mean, everybody wants to talk about systems and structure. The game of hockey and structure is the word I like, not systems, because I don't believe system is really, this isn't football. There's not a whistle every time. You're not calling a play every time. Like, you have to play based on instincts and read and reacting the game. And you can tell when a player is paralyzed in thought. You just can, because the minute you're thinking, the play's already happened. You're not hitting the hole. You're not hitting that play. Things close so quickly. And even having, again, the small amount of games that I did play in the league, but being between the benches in Chicago, in the last couple of seasons before that, I didn't have that job anymore. My appreciation level for just the speed and the skill and the size of the players and how quick everything closes down in that league. You don't have time to think. And I think that's a guy who looks like he's going out there and he's just thinking. And you've already missed that play or that lane when you're thinking, Johnny. And that's how Panarin looks. Like, I couldn't agree more with Elliot in the way you're sort of analyzing the way he's played this year. He looks like a thinker right now.
It's just not, and the offense goes with him. Like, it really does.
Yeah.
Like, every team has a guy or two guys that if they're not scoring or they're not creating, it's hard to score. It's really hard to score. And the Rangers, that guy is him. And I don't know why. I don't know why it's happening. Maybe it is the contract. Maybe he is worried about his future. But he is not himself right now, and it's taking the whole offense down with him.
Yeah, I think it showed last night. He had a breakaway chance in the first period, and instead of like making a head fake or a move that he would normally make, he just shot it low blocker. And I know he's trying to maybe catch the goalie by surprise, but that's not an Artemi Panarin play that we've seen in the past. Like, I've never seen him get a breakaway chance and just shoot the puck. It's someone who's not confident right now, I think, in their shot.
I think he should be the subject of the next Laz interrogation.
Oh, well, he doesn't do any interviews on camera because his English, so that would have to be an audio only.
I just hope he doesn't. I mean, listen, we've coined the term "don't Lafreniere him," and so hopefully he doesn't Lafreniere Panarin. Although I think Panarin's already pretty established, so he's not in any danger of the Johnny Jinx. So, Elliot, we are always grateful of your time and the fact that you gave Oliver a compliment today. I mean, you just keep going higher and higher up the depth chart. So I'm super appreciative of that. That's the way to my heart. So we're thankful for your time today. We really are.
Thanks, Elliot.
All right, guys, have yourselves a great day. Speak to you soon.
All right.
Be good. Thank you. Awesome stuff. Do we want to continue the conversation we were having before?
I'm laughing at some of the comments in the chat. Your pal Joe said Colby looks like Oliver's emotional support human.
You actually did
It,
kind of. Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. This is probably the first. I've had golden retrievers my whole life, and he's the first golden that I've ever had where I do actually feel like his emotional support human and not the other way around. I'm used to having golden retrievers that like their own space, but
Mhm.
Oliver is the opposite of liking his own space. He wants to be a lap dog at 70 pounds. So
You were giving me
anytime-
like Dr. Evil, Mr. Bigglesworth vibes.
I mean, listen, the amount of times I'm doing the show and you guys can't even see him, he just comes over to me and puts his head like right on my lap. And I'm just like, he just loves to be loved, this dog. And so bless his heart. I saw Tom Brady cloned his dog, and there was did we talk about this yesterday? Did we?
Yeah,
No, we
I
didn't.
think so.
Talked about
I
this
think
in
we
the
did.
group text. Did we actually talk about it on the show or on the group text? I don't remember.
I don't know.
I don't remember if we did we talk about this on the show yesterday, everyone, or no. And by the way, these hats, Vic says just in the group text, these hats with the golden retriever and the hockey player, they are still available. The Flyers Warriors, which is the veterans hockey team, they are still selling them. So I'll try to find a link to that. Johnny, what's your situation today for off time? Because I still want to talk about.
I got plenty of time, all the time in the world.
I still want to talk about John Graham and what his family's doing to raise money for kids who can't afford to play hockey. So I do want to get to that at some point. But,
can we finish what we were talking about before, though? Because I never read that Twitter comment. So what we were saying before Elliot came on was this person, Riley, at Coldest Riley, tweeted in regards to Michkov and the Flyers, tweeted, "There's a real problem with coaches showing up to a team and saying, this is how I want the team to play versus this is the best way for this roster to play." And I actually like understand that comment because I felt like my freshman year at UMass, Coach Carb wanted us to play a style that like the personnel that we had just couldn't play that style, including myself. Like I was not a in your face forecheck, create offense off the forecheck kind of forward. That's like, I was maybe like a slower poised, more kind of, make plays over the blue line kind of forward. So I had a hard time adjusting, but in the NHL, Kobe, to your point, like whether it's Michkov, whether it's Panarin, like any lack of offense, I don't really believe is because of a coach. And I think you feel strongly or more strong about that than I do.
Yeah, first off, before we do get into this topic a little, if you're here with us right now and you liked Elliot Friedman on our show today, let's hit the like button. Our YouTube numbers have been a little bit lower lately. Our podcast numbers have skyrocketed. And again, we've asked you guys to get into the audio version of the show. And as you always do, you always have our back. But let's make sure we hit that like button and make sure the comments get left after the show is over, because I think that's super important to help our show sort of carry throughout the day. But as Johnny's getting into this topic, exactly, it's like you cannot blame Mike Sullivan for a lack of offense. To me, the only time you can really blame a coach is if you look at, let's say, like the way the LA Kings played, at least the first half of the season, the last couple of years, where they had such a strict 1-3-1 forecheck, or even a backed off 1-2-2 forecheck that was extremely passive, didn't give you the opportunity to create a lot of turnovers in the offensive zone, not getting the opportunity to go through the neutral zone with a ton of speed because you're always in that backed off 1-3-1 sort of trap mentality, or you're playing a man-on-man defensive zone, which the Rangers are not playing. They're playing that layered sort of, zone defense where you have multiple
defense. They've been great.
And so you still, when you play man-on-man, you're a little more tired because you're following guys around, and you don't have those opportunities to sort of beat your guy back up the ice because you're constantly on his back hip. When you play a layered defensive zone, there's a defenseman in front of the net that if you have low weak side wing support in the slot, that defenseman can start to cheat towards the puck, hopefully grab a puck, and then go join the play up the ice. So it creates more odd man rushes, right? And so I'm not sitting here ready to blame Mike Sullivan for the lack of offense. I blame Chris Drury for the personnel, but I don't blame Mike Sullivan, right? Mike Sullivan wants to possess the puck. David Quinn and Joe Sacco, they want to possess the puck. All right. This is a situation where these guys are not working to create enough offense for themselves. They're not getting above guys in the offensive zone. They're not creating those little soft pockets. They're not outworking teams below the goal line offensively enough. And I know they've had chances and they're just not burying, but it's clearly not enough. If they need 40 chances to get a goal, well, then you need 50 or 60 chances a game. And I'm obviously just inflating
exaggerating.
numbers.
Yeah.
You get my point here is that I just don't think that they're not scoring because of Mike Sullivan. And I don't think Mike Sullivan has come in and put some system as the word everybody likes to use. It's not a real word. There's no system. It's not like the NFL where you're like, we're in a zone, we're in a nickel, we're in a dime. Like, this is the run offense. It's like, no, hockey is so fluid. Fill a lane, play with speed, support the puck, right? Make plays high in the offensive zone. I just don't think that they have the poise on the back end to really control the puck high up at the offensive blue line other than Adam Fox.
Well, that was also the point I wanted to make. I look at the Rangers blue line, and again, I think I referenced this a little bit earlier, or earlier this week about the Devils. Like, Hockey Psychology posted a great video of how mobile the Devils defensemen are when Jack Hughes and Jesper Bratt roll up as the high roller and become, that third player up top and the high forward, and they're able to either pick a spot, whether it's the left D, the right D, who then crashes down, and they can make that seam pass and create more offense while they're covering the point. The Rangers don't really do that. Like, Adam Fox and occasionally Braden Schneider will creep in and try to, score a goal, but the Rangers blue liners pretty much stand still in the offensive zone. Like, there isn't a lot of lateral movement, and that hinders the offense too. What?
Let me just point one quick thing out here, because this is becoming more prevalent in the National Hockey League, right? Guys are getting more and more courageous. Guys are getting more and more courageous at blocking shots. Guys are all playing with an extra pad on their glove now. Skate blockers on your skates are now being built in to skates, right? There's no more clunky skate blockers for most of these guys. Their skates are just coming with the extra pads built in.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I actually saw Seth Jarvis had those yesterday, I think.
You need to create offense now from the blue line. You've got to use the whole zone. Johnny, think about it. If I'm a defenseman and I'm 4 or 5 feet inside the blue line, and the strong side winger or weak side winger is around the hash marks, they're 1.5 stick lengths away from you. They're one stride from being in your face. So as a defenseman, you actually need to stay out at the blue line now. You need to use the whole zone. We made the offensive zones bigger a number of years ago to add a little bit more space in the offensive zone between the blue line and the top of the circle. But the best teams now, the D actually stay out. Sure, they still have their moments where they dive in and you get the rovers. They play pucks low to high, and then they create these pockets of ice in the offensive zone where the center or the winger rolls up, and you're basically creating a mismatch. If the teams want to come out high and the center or a defenseman and the defending team want to run out to the high part of the offensive zone, now you might have a little bit of a 2-on-2 or a 2-on-1 down low because you stretched out the defensive zone coverage, or you'll create offense from high in the offensive zone and you'll get action towards the net. So I actually think creating offense by stretching out the zone rather than condensing, this is something I talk to our defensemen about.
1,000%.
Even in junior hockey, like, by cheating in, and this is something Bruce Cassidy used to talk to us about all the time, all the young D in the American League. He used to say, guys, he used to call it bird dogging. He'd be like, don't bird dog the play. He'd be like, stay out at the blue line, use the whole zone. Once you get the puck, sure, go ahead, dive in, no problem, move yourself in, right? But give yourself that extra time and space rather than giving the wing coverage an easy, free play to you if you're between the top of the circle and the blue line. Hopefully you're all following that. I know that was a mouthful, and I'm running through all these scenarios of offensive zone coverage, but hopefully that's digestible information as to the way that at least I view the game. And when I talk to some of these NHL coaches, those are the things that they're talking about on how to create offense.
Yeah, that was good. Listen, I think getting into the X's and O's is something that separates our show too, right? We want to talk about the ins and outs of the actual game that's being played, not just talk about the surface level hockey stuff or give any hot takes. I think that's what we like to do. That's what we like to teach. And honestly, I learn a lot from you too. Like, I don't know everything about the game of hockey. You're a coach. Like, I take things that you tell me.
By the way, I
No,
learn
but
from other coaches. I mean,
of course.
I learn a shitload from other coaches. Like, I'm always, dude, when I see something happen in the San Jose Sharks game, I'll text Ryan Warsofsky after the game and be like, explain that to me. And then he'll explain it to me and I'll be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. So all my information, I'm not making these things up. I'm just passing things along that people have taught to me. Just so we're clear on that. I don't want to, I'm not an original thought here on these things.
No. But one more thing about last night's game, and I see the chat kind of talking about him, and I just want to give him some love too. Seth Jarvis is a fucking hell of a player. He had a great game last night. Didn't put up like a ton of points. I don't even know if he had a point last night, to be honest. But he made one play where he walked Carson Soucy, put the puck under his triangle, got a chance on Shesterkin. Puck was stopped, and then had another offensive chance. And on the back check, strips Lafreniere, gets the puck back up the ice, gets off the ice in the third period to protect the lead. Like, he just does a lot of little things. He blocks shots. He's so fast. Like, Jarvis flies.
Team Canada's Olympic team?
Yeah, he played 4 Nations last year. Why would they take him off?
I'm just wondering.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Because he seems like a name that, I mean, so let me just ask you then.
Yeah.
Are you putting Tom Wilson on? Are you putting Macklin Celebrini
on?
Someone's got to come off, right?
Okay.
Well, I guess it is an expanded
Look at
roster. I guess it is an expanded roster for the Olympics, but I'm just wondering because he seems to be a name, Jarvis, that has been, when you see the analysts talking about who's going to make Team Canada, I've seen a number of them actually leaving Seth Jarvis off because I've seen Tom Wilson on there and I've seen Macklin Celebrini on there. So I'm just wondering, somebody has to come off. I mean, I'm by the way, Canes fans, because I know we have a lot of you that are always here with us. I'm not calling for Jarvis to be taken off, and I didn't watch that game last night. I stayed off that game because I knew Johnny would be dialed on it, but I do see that as sort of a hot topic.
That's actually a good question. Also, snaps to Vic for pulling that clip up right away. Unreal stuff. Who just said it? Wait, let me find it in the chat. It was SMLDTK. Take Travis Konechny off, but keep Jarvis on. I think those two players are pretty much
Scheifele, Suzuki, Celebrini, Wilson. Like those
even
are
Bedard
all
now
serious consideration. Yeah, I just don't know because I think you're too stacked.
They should bring Celebrini and Bedard. Those guys should be there. They're going to be there in 4 years.
They don't do things based on that, and that's we've seen that. If you're not ready to contribute on some level, you can't come. And I it's not that I don't think Bedard can contribute, but I just I don't think that he fits on this Olympic team. Is he going to be on the next Olympic team? I think for sure. But I think you got to give the nod. You have Celebrini who can play center, right? And you can never have too many centers on your roster. Never.
And to be fair too, Colby, to that, like Celebrini could, if he really wanted to, he could be like a fourth liner on that team. Like he doesn't need to be. Yeah, like he could easily fit any role. Yeah.
Can Connor Bedard play on the fourth line? No.
I don't think so. Yeah.
No. Come on. No, not I don't think
so.
So.
No,
He's not built for that. Okay.
Those kind of mean the same thing, do they not?
Well, be like, take a hard stance there.
Hard no.
Like,
no.
Take a hard stance for once in your damn life. Take a hard stance.
Okay. Let's talk about the Anaheim Ducks. No?
Go ahead.
You want to? Okay. First,
I know you want to talk about I know you want to talk about your former Calder pick, who you're feeling.
He had
good
20
about
last year. Yeah, he had 20 last year.
He did quiet. He had a quiet 20. Ooh, Flyers fans, man, that one hurts a little bit right now. It's gotta hurt with Cutter, the way Cutter Gauthier coming along. Oh,
but he's also not doing this in Philly. He's not doing this in Philly.
Yeah, he's obviously surrounded by a higher level of talent, but do you think if he played with Michkov, who's getting him the puck, and Travis Konechny can get you the puck, and agreed, it's not the same top end talent in Philly as it is in Anaheim.
And look how good Zegras is doing.
But oh man, I don't know. Like I think Cutter Gauthier, if you're a goal scorer, you're a goal scorer. Like you see the goals he's getting, he creates a lot of these goals on his own, right? Like
Yeah.
Cutter's the goal scorer that we thought he was going to be. It took him a year, which is totally okay.
But Mike Bartner, content creator with the NHL, does a good job, works for Bleacher Report. Really nice kid, too. He put out like a tweet, I think, last week saying, can we just count Trevor Zegras in the Gauthier trade and then like make it fair for both teams? Because Zegras is playing super well for Philly, too.
You can't count him in that. Why would you do that? That's fantasy land. He's not in that trade.
Well, just to make
what
both teams feel better about it. I don't know.
That's not how it works. Listen, give Danny Briere all the fucking credit in the world for going and buying low on Trevor Zegras and giving this guy an opportunity in this market, a market
Great
that
to see
I
him
don't
do
know
well.
if people really thought he would do well in. Okay. And look, with the Cutter Gauthier situation, I mean, the only other scenario I know about that was that, you know, they were pretty far down, and this has been widely reported, but I know this to be true 100%, and you can draw your conclusions on how I know that all you want. But the Bowen Byram was the other guy. Like, he was the other guy that they targeted with this Cutter Gauthier thing. And look, it's like I said, I never had an issue with it. You use your leverage. I had an issue with how he did it, not what he did. We don't need to relive that. No reason to relive that. And it's funny, Johnny, as we're talking and you're asking me about players, coaches, systems, and look at Mitchkov. There's a lot of Flyers fans right now that are looking at the Flyers and looking at what Rick Tocchet is saying about Mitchkov and saying, oh, this team will never learn. They're going to be the Broad Street Bullies forever. Look at the Montreal Canadiens. And then they go out and they beat the Montreal Canadiens and they hang with them offensively and they get the win in the shootout. Now, granted, two teams that are
it blew a 3-0 lead.
Yeah, listen, the Montreal Canadiens, I mean, like, they're worth paying a lot of money to go watch right now. And I wouldn't say the same thing about the Flyers, although they have been stringing some wins together and they did go toe to toe with a high scoring team last night. Give credit where credit's due. And you know, Zegras continues to star in the shootout, but I have not changed my opinion on Matvei Mitchkov from day one. Top of the circle's in. This kid is dynamite offensively, but there's more to the game. And I worry about his skating. He's a guy who wants to slow the game down and play east-west. Is he good enough to do that? Nothing that he's done has made me feel like he is good enough to do that. I know Flyers fans were hoping that this guy was like the savior player. This guy's just a piece, okay? He's a real good piece, and he will find his game, but he is not the piece, right? And Porter Martone is not the piece that you're building your team around either. He's just going to be another really good quality NHL winger for you in Philly. But, you know, Tocchet, Mitchkov is similar to that whole Panarin, Sullivan conversation that fans are seemingly dragging up on the internet.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. But conversation, again, was supposed to be about the Ducks. Like, Leo Carlsson, he's turning into a superstar before our eyes. No? Are we able to say that word?
I'm not going to use the word yet because I've probably only watched
I said turning into, turning into.
Three. I think I've seen 3 full Ducks games this year, and then you know, like wire to wire games, and he's very good. He's trending towards looking like a real like there's a reason he went. What did he go second overall? Is that what he went? Second, third? No, he went second, right?
Second.
Yeah, he went ahead of Fantilli.
Yeah.
He's looking like a legit number 2 overall selection and on his way to being,
he's gonna double the points he had last year,
showing everybody why he went number 2 overall, and maybe he really is a true top line center, maybe, or he will be that true number 1 center as he grows into himself. So look, you heard what Elliott said.
Team, right?
Oh yeah, I mean he'll be a top 6 player on it. You heard what Elliott said. Verbeek is swinging. He's in the mix. Maybe Panarin is a guy they look at and they say, hey, let's pull you out of all the pressure and put you in Southern California in some beautiful weather. Go from one shit show tax situation to another, bud. You're used to giving 90% of your paycheck away. Come on out to California, right? So come join your teammates.
Can I say one more thing? Do you want to hear a crazy stat?
You could
2 crazy stats, maybe?
Just raise your hand.
Okay. Do you know who leads the league in plus minus right now? There's 3 guys tied, but this guy is one of them.
I know it's not Mason Lohrei. That's what I know for
It's
sure.
not Mason Lohrei. Can you tell me?
Am I
Can you
guessing?
guess where I'm going? Yeah, I guess.
Guessing? Is it Leo
Mhm.
Carlson, Cutter Gauthier,
Jacob
and
Trouba.
Jacob Trouba?
Jacob Trouba is plus 11. He has 8 points. And get this, Colby. Through 12 games, 0 penalty minutes. 0. Jacob Trouba, 8 points. Plus 11. 0 penalty minutes. You fucking kidding me? Unreal. The year he's having. And again, like all the underlying numbers and everything that you're seeing with Jacob Trouba in these stats, they match it. Like this guy's playing fucking well. And it's amazing. I'm happy for the guy because he got berated in New York before he left. So it's good to see him. Good to see Kreider, being happy, having fun, and playing on a good team. Man, the Ducks again. I think you gave me shit. I know Tyler Yaremchuk gave me shit when I said they were going to make the playoffs, but this team is the perfect blend of veterans and young guys, and they are playing fucking well.
Frank Vetrano, first goal the other night. He got that monkey off his back. So good to see. Friend of the show, Frank Vetrano, obviously. All right, listen. Do we have any more orders of business to get to before I talk about my pal John Graham and what they have going on? All right, Vic. So I want to just give you guys a quick little story here, and you all remember the name John Graham. Won a Stanley Cup in the early 2000s with the Tampa Bay Lightning. Was a great goaltender. Was on the 2006 Olympic team. His story, it's a great one. His dad Ron was a goaltender at Denver and in the National Hockey League in the 70s. He's a big wig at Denver. He was like the a chancellor title at Denver. His wife Charlotte was an executive for the Colorado Avalanche for forever. It's actually funny when I look at my entry-level contract that I signed with the Colorado Avalanche. One of the signatures on my contract was Charlotte Graham. At the time she was a high-level executive for the Colorado Avalanche, and she was notarizing and signing contracts. So it's pretty funny, and obviously I didn't know her at the time when I did sign the contract, and then I go to Colorado. I'm in the American League, and even when I was in the National Hockey League, John Graham was my roommate on the road. This is when players still had roommates in the NHL. So I'm a 20-year-old kid, and I'm spending time with like 35-year-old John Graham, who's been a pro hockey player for 15, 16 years.
Tampa was his longest stop, right?
Tampa, I think he was in Carolina. He was in Boston. He was a beauty. Listen, his stories are like no other. I mean, this guy lived it to the fullest extent. So, we've always had a good relationship, even though there's a big age difference. And I become friendly with his family. They live out in Colorado. His wife Nikki, his kids Colton, Luke, and oh my God, I'm drawing a blank on their last boy's name. But anyways, so he's got 3 young boys who play hockey, John, and he coaches them and is super involved with youth hockey out in Colorado. Their youngest son, Luke, okay? And everybody who has kids kind of knows this. I remember my younger brother was like this. They're just dragging your third kid to the rink to watch the 2 older brothers constantly play hockey all the time. So the younger brother, Luke, said, hey, guys, I'm a rink dude. And this idea was born where they were going to raise money for underprivileged kids and hockey players by selling Rink Dude merchandise. So we have the QR code on our screen right now, okay? So you can scan the QR code, and they're donating and raising money for Hockey Unlimited, which is a nonprofit organization. It started in 2019 with a mission to help low-income kids have the opportunity to play hockey. And so little Luke Graham, okay, 6, 7 years old, is raising money to help kids who can't afford to play hockey by selling merchandise for Rink Dude. Vic, I know that I sent you the link for some of this stuff, and you can go and look this stuff on the line. Vic put the link in the chat. I know that Nathan McKinnon is now getting behind this as well with the Graham's connection to the Colorado Avalanche. He's signing hats, and Luke will be setting up at some of the local rinks in Littleton, Colorado and Highland Ranch, Colorado, and selling merchandise in order to donate money, and all the proceeds will go and donate underprivileged kids who can't afford to play hockey. So I absolutely love what they're doing. Like I said, John Graham, I didn't get to spend too much time with him as a teammate, but boy, it was memorable. He was hysterical. There's a picture of the three boys. And they've all got their Rink Dude merchandise on. That's little Luke in the middle, who was sort
Look
of
at that
the
hockey
idea
smile.
and the creator. Yeah, it's right. He's already missing a tooth. He's got that hockey smile. So again, the Graham family has done so much for hockey. I mean, Charlotte Graham's name is on the cup twice from both Colorado Avalanche championships. So that's pretty cool as well. And again, like one of the first families of hockey in Colorado. Like, so if you can get, Vic, maybe you can throw the QR code back up one more time on the screen. If it's something you can give, if it's $1, if it's $5, whatever, that would be awesome. And to help support Hockey Unlimited, to raise money for these kids who can't afford to play hockey. So, again, I love seeing little kids do cool stuff or help other little kids. Like, this was not an adult driven initiative. This was a kid driven initiative to help other kids. So that's cool. That's really cool. So kudos to the Grahams, and we'll keep bringing it up and we'll keep talking about it, Johnny.
Yeah, there's a lot of good people in the game of hockey. Seriously, there's a lot. And that's just great to see. Thanks for talking about that, Colby. And hopefully we can get John Graham on here. I don't know if you mentioned that. Did you say he'd come on?
Yeah, he'll come on. He'll come on at some point. He'll come on.
That'd be cool.
He's traveling for work right now, so he couldn't come on today, but he will come on, because man, I don't know what stories he's willing to talk about.
Well, he was on the team with Torts, right? Their early Tampa.
I always
Torts, right?
I always tell his wife and his kids, I'm like, you don't realize how cool your dad was back in the day, because they just think he's like this big dork, this big dorky dad.
Did he back up
like,
the Cup team?
Yeah, he was Hobby Boulin's backup.
He was
in Tampa
on the 04 team.
Oh yeah, I think he was Hobby Boulin's backup. I'll never forget it. He was pissed at me. We were having a pregame skate, and I buzzed him with a high shot by accident. It just got away from me on the first drill, and I come down, I shoot it, I turn up the right boards. A puck comes whizzing by my head. He ripped one at me because he was pissed that I buzzed him up high in the shoulder in a pregame skate. And I was like, okay, I'm never shooting a puck off the ice for the rest of my rookie year against a goaltender. Like, I was like, I'm never pissing this guy off again. So, he was a beauty, man. He was a beauty, John Graham. Total beauty. So.
Any other things you want to talk about before we wrap up today's show? We don't really have a plan for tomorrow's show yet. We got to figure out what we're going to do tomorrow. As far as guests go, maybe whatever happens tonight. But yes. Anything you want to say before
tonight? No, 5 games tonight. Very digestible. 7, 7:30, 9:30, 10, 10. So at least there's a little bit of a stagger with the starts. So you'll be able to take a couple of games in at the same, without having to miss anything, which is always nice. And that's really it, Johnny. Let's get to Bet365, and then we'll thank everybody. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and make sure you got those automatic downloads set. And today, when the show is over, okay, I want you to go to the comments, and I want you to let us know, is it weird that Tom Brady cloned his dog? Yes or no? And I want to know, if yes, why yes? Okay? If yes, why yes?
Okay. With that, let's get to our Bet365 bet of the night. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary. At Bet365, download the app and get in on the game. You must be 19 or older. Shit luck this week, by the way, Colby. Monday night, the Penguins blow a 3-0 lead. We had the Penguins money line, and last night we had Vegas minus 1.5, and they win 1-0. They don't get the empty netter. So tough start to this week, but tonight we are actually taking the San Jose Sharks money line on the road, the late game in Seattle. The Sharks power play is one of the best power plays in the NHL, top 15. So maybe not one of the best, but they're up there. Their power play has not scored in their last 4 games. So I think their man advantage is due for one tonight. The Kraken have lost 2 of their last 3. The Sharks have won 2 of their last 3. The Sharks lost their last game in a shootout against Detroit. I think this is a game where they could bounce back. I still think the Sharks are a better offensively talented team than Seattle. The Kraken have been playing somewhat well to start the year, but I love watching the Sharks team. I'm driving to UMass tonight because I'm doing the broadcast tomorrow night against Maine and Friday. So I'll be in the hotel tonight, so I'll catch the late games. But yeah, I'll have my eyes on the Nesson game is Friday.
Okay.
Friday.
Tonight's ESPN
So I'll have
Plus. Friday's Nesson.
Tomorrow night. Yeah.
Got it. Tomorrow
night
ESPN
and Friday.
Plus. Okay, and they'll both be on ESPN Plus. So, and we'll talk more about marquee matchups for the weekend. We'll make sure we mention that tomorrow. So, all right, Johnny. With that, good show today. Elliot was again. He really just kind of fits right into this show. I gotta say, like he hasn't missed a beat since he joined. So that's always great. Hopefully we'll be back to getting our other off week guests next week, but we'll kind of think about tomorrow and then we'll go from there. So hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, get the automatic downloads going. The show will be posted live. Also on podcast. So will the Elliot Friedman conversation. That'll be posted. We want to hear from you in the YouTube feed when the show stops screaming. Is it weird that Tom Brady cloned his dog? Yes or no? I personally do not think it's weird. I think it's fucking awesome. I know Dave Portnoy, he thinks it's weird. I know there's some
I think
varying
it's so
opinions
weird
about that. I don't think it's weird at all. I love Oliver, but if I could have done it, I would have cloned Brady. He was my last golden retriever. That would have been the dog that I cloned. Maybe then Oliver would have a little Brady in him. So leave us those comments in the YouTube once the show is over. Huge audience today on YouTube today. I'm guessing it was probably our best of the year. So we love you for all of that. And as we always do, we will see everybody back here right at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Have a good day, everyone.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to Morning Cup of Hockey here on the Daily Faceoff YouTube channel. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. And don't forget, we've got more great hockey content every day. You can catch DFO live at noon and stick around for the sheet with Jeff Marek at 1 p.m. right here on Daily Faceoff. Until then, keep your coffee hot and your takes hotter.